The three biggest stars in the UFC could be playable in 3 divisions on UFC 6. With the game dropping June 19, today we're talking familiar fighters who will be playable in new divisions, also breaking down the DLC fighters, as well as some random thoughts. When UFC 6 drops, Alex Pereira will be a heavyweight, making him playable in 3 divisions. We saw it in UFC 5 with McGregor, Nick Diaz, Anthony Pettis, and Wanderlei Silva. In UFC 6, Poatan will be in the 3-division club. Also, Ilia Topuria and Khamzat Chimaev, who have already competed in 2 divisions, could be making their welterweight and light heavyweight debuts respectively during the game's life cycle, which would put them also in the 3-division club. Robert Whittaker, RDR, and Paulo Costa should all be at light heavyweight as well as presumably middleweight, making them playable in 2 divisions. And if EA add an Ultimate Fighter version of Robert Whittaker at 170, he will also join the 3-division club. Charles Jourdain will be at bantamweight and Vicente Luque will be at middleweight after their recent debuts in new weight classes, Jourdain moving down, Vicente moving up, making them playable in 2 divisions. Now for a couple of predictions. During the UFC 6 life cycle, I think Michael Morales will move up and be added to the middleweight division, as well as Merab to the featherweight division, especially if he loses to Petr Yan in the trilogy. That's all the possible fighters who will be in new divisions for UFC 6 that I can think of. If you can think of any others, let me know. Moving on to the DLC fighters. John Jones, UFC 182, is from the first DC fight. UFC 281, Israel Adesanya is from the first Poatan fight in the UFC where he lost. Leon Edwards is just Leon Edwards. UFC 238, Henry Cejudo is from the Marlon Moraes fight. Jiri Prohaska, UFC 295, is from the first Poatan fight where he lost. This is a theme with these DLC fighters. Chan Sung Jung, no event. Joanna Jędrzejczyk from UFC 248 is when she had that 5-round war with Zhang Weili and lost. Randy Couture and Ken Shamrock, hard to know where they're going to fit in the meta, being from so many generations ago. UFC 241, Paulo Costa. This is Paulo Costa's best performance in the UFC. Apart from his recent performance, it was a fight against Yoel Romero, Miesha Tate, and UFC 307, Khalil Roundtree is from when he lost to Poatan. So out of these 8 DLC fighters, 4 of them are coming off a loss, and 3 of them are to Poatan. Crazy stuff. Now for some random thoughts. UFC 6, I think they're getting rid of the Kumite and the backyard venue. But to offset that, if you want to turn rounds off, adjust the length of the rounds as well, I think you should be able to do that in UFC 6. Ronda Rousey has that fight for Jake Paul's MVP promotion coming up. She's been trashing the UFC matchmakers and TKO. I don't think she's going to be in UFC 6. Anyway, that's all from me. Thanks for watching. If you've watched this far, consider dropping a like, a sub. Stay tuned. That's all from me, and I'll see you in the next one.